Alright, so we've painted up textures for our character, we've overlaid some detail maps. Now we're going to use those detail maps to create some of the secondary maps that you use to get the light playing across your character. Alright, so let's go over here. I'm going to go to the folder where my files are. I'm going to take my Photoshop file here, my main one. I'm going to copy and paste it, right? So I just want to duplicate it. So Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Now I'm going to rename this one underscore G. G stands for glossiness. So let's open this up in Photoshop. All right, so VC demo G. All right, so the way glossiness works is you need to think of things in terms of hardness and softness. And really, you don't need a lot of the detail that's layered in here. So I could come in here and just set this color to be a normal. Just normal, regular texture. I want to make them 100%. Crank them up. And then I'll just do something down here for the skin. I'm just going to make a blank layer. And under my color picker, I'm just going to give it like a neutral gray color. All right. So then thinking about these other ones, I don't need this metal, so I'm just going to hit trash for that. I'm going to trash this. Trash this. Notice I am on my glossiness. I'm on that alternate map. I can actually select all these here and Control E to merge them together and then dump them all in the trash. Okay. So now glossiness only works with black and white colors. So I'm just going to go into my I'm going to go into hue saturation. So Control U, and I'm just going to desaturate this one. Hit OK. Go over here to this one, the head. Select that layer, Control U again, and I'm going to desaturate that. So this is what I need for my glossiness, in all honesty. I just need something very simple, right? Because really this is about, at its most raw understanding, glossiness deals with flat surface, flat colors like this. So if I wanted to make these gloves more like a, let's say they're going to be rubber, right? I want them to be a lot with a tighter spec dot. So let's just go back into Control L to go into levels, and I'm just going to make this a lot brighter. All right, we don't want to go super white because then you're not going to see anything. Click OK. Come down here to the metal. We'll do something similar where we'll kind of brighten that up a bit more. And then the skin, we'll go Control U on that, which is hue saturation. I'm just going to darken that up a little bit. You don't want to go all the way black. You don't want to go all the way white. Maybe this one, I'll just take this down to be halfway in between. All right, here we go. So now this is my glossiness. Let's save that. Control S, Control W to close. And now I can come into Max. I'm going to open up my material editor and plug that in. Here I've imported the glossiness map. And I can plug this into glossiness. And you don't really see a change in the texture yet. You're not going to see it on the character because glossiness needs a specular level to work with it. So let's go back to the character. And so again, similarly here with our character, what we need to do is we're going to take out the color because the color is not important. So Control U to get in there. And I'm just going to bring this down. Control U again, and just go through and desaturate these different levels. I mean, I could even, I suppose, don't know why I didn't think of this first, just go in and put one layer all the way at the top. I'm going to just fill it with white, edit, fill with foreground color, and I can just set that to saturation. Now the whole thing's black and white. All right, so now I could take this and I could save this out. So I just realized I'm on my diffuse, so I'm going to actually click, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to open up my window actions. I'm going to go to history, and under history I'm going to go back through my history to get to a point where I hadn't done that. Get everything back to how it was. There we go. Okay, I'm going to actually save my diffuse and close it, and then come over here and make sure I open up my spec, which I didn't have open. So let's copy, Control C, Control V, once again. So we copied it, and now I'm going to rename this underscore SL for specular level. Let's pop that up. Okay, now we're on the spec level. F9 to close history and actions. All right, same thing. Let's go make a brand new layer and fill that with white. So I think Alt backspace will fill. Yeah. And then we'll just call this saturation. All right, so now we can save this. And if we come into Max, we could plug in our spec level. Let's pause. All right, here's my specular level, which I'm going to plug in. Now let's organize our file here. Right click and say Layout Children. So now you can see that things have changed, right? You can see how there's the spec dot has changed. So let's minimize this. And if we orbit around our character, you can see how here's the spec as it's hitting the character. You see how it's behaving differently. Instead of being the tight dot that's on his arm, it's broader and flatter on his skin. It's still, we're not getting a lot of the breakup that I'd want from the skin. So let's go back to the spec level. I'm going to come down to that skin layer, and I have it selected here, so I'm going to do Control L or Image Adjust to get into levels. I just want to increase the contrast on this. Now this is the specular level that we're working with here, and I'm really pushing the contrast here in spec. Control S to save that. And if I come back to Max, once this refreshes, now when I orbit around, it's not that just pure straight dot anymore, is it? You're kind of getting a lot more breakup, and that's kind of where the spec level comes in that it shows you could start to specify some areas are a little bit shinier than others, right? Or more specular, right? They pick up that light a lot more. So we can do the same thing. Let's go up here to our gloves. There's our wood. We can do Control L, and we could really push the contrast on those. All right, let's really push it here. Let's just see what we get. And then let's go down to the metal that's on the head. Again, Control U to adjust. Nope, sorry. Control L to adjust the levels. All right, so now we really got some contrast happening. Let's save this and see what we get. Come back over. So now we zoom out. You see how it's not just a flat surface. The light is starting to break up on top of those different types of details that I have. Now that's just the start of what we can do. Imagine if I had really worked out details on this character. Now there's some things you can do to make this even better. If you remember, I rendered out a ambient occlusion. So let's open that inside of Photoshop here. I'm just going to do Edit. If I do Image, let's do Window, Arrange, Tile All Vertically. I don't need the leather anymore, so I'm going to close that. I don't need the metal anymore. I don't need this metal anymore. So you just have these two. I have my, if you hold Shift and you drag a layer into another window, it'll snap right into position. So we can get rid of that AO. Let's move this ambient occlusion all the way up to the top. I can actually set this to multiply, and this gives me a little bit more control. So while it is going to be this way, he's not just going to be shiny all over. Some of those areas that are shadowed, that specular is not going to pop out as much. So let's save that. And then we'll come over and we'll see it's got, subtly, it's just got a little bit more happening there. All right. And so then we can also play with some of the other elements that we painted out. Like if I took this bit for the eyes, or those glowing spots, we'll move those up here. And I'm just going to do, let's go Control U for hue saturation. I'm going to totally desaturate them, but make them go completely dark like so. And then save that, so that now, when the light moves, it doesn't shine there at all. Notice that? Like the spec, those lights don't even hit those areas on the character. So now we can save that, and we have those maps, and we can start to see how the lighting works. So just to make sure I'm running it with realistic, the controls for the viewports are a little bit different. You may have to change them play with them a little bit more inside some of the other software packages or like later versions of Macs. Well, there you go. Uh, review the viewport labels notes, and those will help you set up your viewport so you can see the textures. As a bonus, I want to show you one additional map. So let's jump in here. Oh, also, we can go back into Photoshop, and if there's layers I'm not really using, I could get rid of those. Yeah, looks like I'm probably using most of these. Let's go back out here. I'm going to clone this diffuse again, Control C, Control V. I'm going to rename this one underscore E. I'm going to call it E for emissive because that's what we use in game engines, right? In this case, this texture, it's not really necessarily emissive. This will be self-illumination inside 3ds Max, so I don't need any of this stuff up top. So I'm just going to select all those and hit backspace to delete them. Nope. Apparently that's not it. I want to keep some of this. Alright, let's collapse these folders. There we go. Delete. Backspace to delete, or just hit delete on the keyboard to delete them. There we go. So I'm just going to take everything else here and Control E to merge those together. Pick a black color and then just do Alt backspace to fill that with the foreground. And now these guys here, Control U to take me into hue saturation. I'm going to desaturate. I'm going to make them brighter. I'm going to click OK. And now I'm just going to save this. And now if I wanted areas that glow on my character, if I open up the material, what I can do is if I bring that in, there's that emissive. I'm just going to drag this into self-illumination. And so now, anywhere that I made that is white on the character will no longer receive lighting information. So if you see if I orbit around, that area, it doesn't glow, right? Max is kind of it's kind of a chore to make things glow in Max, but they don't receive light in here. So when you bring this into a game engine, you actually could use those to make things glow. Right? So there you go. That's the bonus one, the emissive / self-illumination. So there you go.